Starting out strong, timeless is overrated. Yes, this is a design channel, and yes, I just said that. Although, I'll explain what I mean after I introduce myself. So if you're new here, my name is Medora. I use they, them pronouns, and I make videos about home design for girls, gays, and theys. And if my audio sucks in this video, it's because my main mic is not working, so I'm using this lav mic. So hopefully it's not awful. So, to get back to part 3 of my unpopular design opinions, timeless is overrated. Now, I'm not saying that we should go for tacky, poorly designed, falling apart old shit. When I say that, I mean that standing the test of time, for example, something that is well designed, is genuinely great. But something that's completely removed from any sense of time period just feels soulless. Like, sure, if you're renovating a house that you own that you might sell someday, it makes sense to want the future homeowner or caretaker of the space to appreciate all of your hard work instead of ripping it out. But not to get too philosophical and existentialist, time is essential to the human condition and the way we perceive the world around us and how we experience our place within it. I think the reason I can't stand whatever's currently the affordable version of the status quo, especially this gross mid-century inspired furniture, is because our world has become so simultaneously globalized and individualized. So we're constantly seeing bastardized versions of things from all different time periods and cultures and being encouraged to take whatever we want and leave the rest without fully learning the context behind the colors and silhouettes and textures that we like and how those interact with the context you decide to put them in. And I can hear some of you saying, but Medora, I don't have time and energy to research every single thing I bring into my home. And yes, that's valid. You definitely don't need to become an expert on the historical context behind every single thing in your home. But what I do want to encourage is to start small and just let your curiosities lead you. Let yourself go down Wikipedia rabbit holes late at night instead of doom scrolling. And maybe start watching some YouTube documentaries about the history of design. And if you think this stuff isn't interesting, give me 60 seconds to change your mind. Tangent incoming. So, I went to school for art. I only wanted to make art. I had no interest in art history. But I had to take 2 art history classes in order to graduate. Needless to say, I was not excited about these classes. And honestly, during these classes, I was still bored. The topics weren't particularly intriguing, except for this one presentation that we had about the AIDS quilt, which was admittedly pretty neat to learn about. And by neat, I mean horrifying and heartwarming all at the same time. But you know, neat. But anyways, the point of this tangent is to say that these classes ended up changing my life. Maybe about a year or 2 after taking these classes, I realized that I had so much more appreciation for the art that I encountered, and I was able to make better art by having this understanding of the history and the context for why that art even existed in the first place. Obviously, this is a channel about design, not art, but they're definitely related and the general idea still stands. Over the next handful of years, I realized that as a human living on this planet within the context of time and space, history is actually something I am very interested in. Just less so the dates and names and wars and memorizing all of that stuff, and more the how people lived and why they did what they did and what their attitudes were towards the current political climate and all of that. So I've been letting myself explore that, and the amount that it's enriched my life is so much greater than the amount of initial energy that it took to start learning about these things. And if you need a simple, practical place to start, watch Noah Daniel's videos on modernism, which are a really good starting point to challenge any preconceived notions about what modernism is and isn't. And then go over to Rajiv Surendra's channel and binge everything, especially the videos about how to do old-timey things, like how to do household chores and go antiquing and spin wool. All of these are going to be linked below, and if you're anything like me, you're probably going to pretty quickly find yourself falling in love with older, simpler, slower ways of doing things. Or at the very least, you'll find a new appreciation for how things are designed and produced. Okay, that was an absurdly long number 1, so number 2 will be much shorter. Number 2 is that I'm anti-pillow chop. If you haven't heard of this, it's where you just like karate chop a pillow, and so it makes like a V. I don't know. I won't go in depth on this, but I think it's ugly and unnecessary, and 87% of the time people are doing it on pillows that aren't stuffed full enough, so it just makes the pillows look even sadder than they already are. Number 3. I know that styling is super popular right now, especially for shelves and surfaces, but I don't like homes that feel overstyled or like they're doing too much. Keep it simple and authentic to the context. For example, if you live in New York, don't bother with a California vibe. It's going to feel off. If you live in a cold or wet climate, you are going to need a dedicated entryway that has multiple coat hooks and places for boots and hats and gloves for each person who lives there. If you live somewhere with a particularly strong cultural background, get to know the local artists and makers and add something meaningful to your home. And while we're somewhat adjacent to the topic, don't put a fucking dream catcher in your home if you're not indigenous. Dream catchers are very specifically an Anishinaabe tradition, which is the land that I was born and raised on. So on a quick but related tangent, learn whose land you're on and approach the learning process with curiosity and a desire to do better for the collective future of humanity, rather than out of defensiveness or needing to prove a point. My fourth unpopular design opinion is that done is better than perfect. I'm saying this as a recovering perfectionist, and as you can see, I'm doing a fantastic job of that with the background of my videos, because apparently sitting on the floor for an hour or two filming a video hurts my back, so this is what you get. But anyways, within the context of design, you're totally allowed to just hang up your pictures without leveling them, without spacing things perfectly, without measuring anything. I would so much rather you just put a nail in the wall and hang it up, even if it's not perfect. Number 5 is a very important one, and I will go much more in depth on this in a future video soon, but that is to go slow and prioritize your safety when you're doing DIYs or home projects, especially when you don't think you need to be safe. You've only got one body, and while they can be self-healing in, minor circumstances, doing physical projects around your home just opens you up to more opportunities to hurt your body. So like I said, there's another video coming soon about this with more specific details and everything, but seriously, prioritize your safety. Number 6. I actually already made a whole video about this recently, which I'll link below, but apparently I had it on this list too. So stop listening to design YouTubers and trust yourself. Unless you're, hiring them professionally to tell you what to do. As much as us YouTubers often know what we're talking about and have the degrees to back us up, or at the very least are passionate and very skilled at interior design, the job description of being a YouTuber is not to help every single individual subscriber with their specific design problems. The job description is to create videos that will broadly apply to a lot of people and be entertaining and educational. Again, as much as I hope that I have some sort of parasocial relationship with you, because ultimately that's good for building a community and growing a business and all of that, I don't actually know like 99.8% of you in person. And the ones I do are my family and close friends who I don't work with. There was someone who was really upset about the video I made about this, thinking that I was saying that we should just disregard all skilled, educated professionals, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that design is such a personal specific thing, and there are so many factors that could influence the design of your home that some random YouTuber isn't gonna know. Again, if you hire a professional, whether they're a YouTuber or not, then yeah, absolutely listen to them because they will have the specific context as long as you give it to them. But in general, the entire premise of that video was just to trust yourself instead of trusting random people who don't know anything about you. My 7th unpopular design opinion is that ceiling lights and boob lights and can lights are necessary, and they don't have to be a necessary evil. They're super functional and they don't have to be ugly. See my boob light replacement video for more information. Number 8 is that I really don't love gallery walls. They can be done nicely, but as a general rule of thumb, I would much rather you have a very specific moment styled around one specific piece of art, because if you just lump all of your art together in a gallery wall, each individual piece doesn't really get its own moment to shine. And in a similar vein, I cannot stand mass-manufactured art just for the point of filling up space on a wall. I promise it's okay to have a blank wall rather than a printed canvas from like Target or IKEA that you've had since 8th grade. Number 9 is that I actually really love brutalism, or at least its visual aesthetic. Obviously it has its ties to authoritarian dictatorship, so you definitely need a little bit of nuance to bring it into your home, but as we've already established on this channel, I love furniture that feels like it could survive a bomb, or at the very least a performance of La Vie Boheme. Number 10, I love carpet. Especially nice, fancy wool designer carpet with fun patterns and stuff, but honestly, even just shitty carpet, as long as it's clean and not stained. This might just be personal preference because I really enjoy being barefoot, and I find it really hard to be creative if I'm not barefoot. But yeah, everywhere I've lived that has carpet, which I think is only 2 places, but everywhere I've lived with carpet, I actually really like it. Obviously, it's not the most accessible with allergies and mobility aids and stuff like that, but if that's not an issue for you and you like it, I say go for it. Number 11, and I think more people are starting to kind of come on board with this, but I hate accent walls in 98% of contexts. It just looks bad if you only do one wall because it doesn't make sense architecturally, and the 2% of times that I do like it is when it does make sense architecturally, which is not something most of us have the luxury of affording. So instead of doing one accent wall in each room, for example, commit to doing one whole entire room, especially like a bedroom or a bathroom, in a single color or a wallpaper, or doing some neat trim or something like that. I think to me, it feels like you're committing to the bit a lot more if you do an entire room instead of just doing one accent wall in each room. Number 12 might anger some of you, but coziness shouldn't always be your top priority in every single room. Function comes first, and in some spaces, coziness definitely is a function, like especially living rooms and bedrooms, but coziness probably shouldn't be your top priority in an office or a kitchen. That's not to say you can't add it on top of everything else being functional, but don't forgo function just for the sake of making it cozy. Number 13 is that I hate when people are doing a bathroom renovation and they rip out the matching colored vintage bathroom fixtures. Like, you know, when they would do a green toilet tub and pedestal sink? I love those so much. Obviously, if you need to replace them for functional reasons, I understand that. But if you just update a few things around those, it can look so good. Number 14 I put on this list because I saw this one specific photo, and also because I was struggling with this in my last apartment, but I specifically love short curtains when they are made very specifically to the dimensions of a space so that it feels like it's built into the architecture. So again, with this specific photo with the ledge under the window, now granted, I don't love the weird wallpaper thing that they put on that ledge, but the curtains fit that space so perfectly, and they're on a track, and they just feel like they are part of the building rather than something you just slapped on top of a window. So it feels a lot more intentional and thoughtful and everything that you already know I love. Okay, last but not least is number 15. I know that everyone hates the all of the furniture pushed up against the walls layout, but especially for people who have trauma or CPTSD from living with someone who's abusive or toxic or generally unsafe, having your furniture up against a wall or in a corner can feel so much safer than having it out in the middle of the room. As much as I love the visual aspect of pulling the furniture away from the walls, I really want to leave you with a reminder that good design is specific to each person and their wants and needs, and you can't know that from a Pinterest photo. At the end of the day, as long as you do whatever feels good and right in your own home, that's all that matters. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, make sure to do all of the YouTube-y things to tell the algorithm to show you more of my videos. If you want to support this channel, go to patreon.com/medorakia. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, go to medorakia.com. Bye.